and welcome to an instant reaction edition of the Shifts and Pucks podcast. Of course, you can follow us on Twitter at Shifts and Pucks, Facebook.com, Shifts and Pucks, we're live there, YouTube.com, Shifts and Pucks, Twitch.com, Shifts and Pucks. Subscribe wherever you get your audio, as well as on the Area 51 Sports Network. As I was out on the north side, looking out of at the beautiful North Shore, Vancouver. Sun is out, the water is blue, and it's that Canucks single comes through the sun. It's almost like the shining blue, and I come flying home as J.T.Miller has signed an extension with the Vancouver Canucks, and he has agreed. It is a 7-year, $56 million extension. So J.T.Miller, the biggest question coming into this offseason for the Vancouver Canucks is remaining a Vancouver Canuck. It has been the conversation ever since Jim Rutherford and Patrick Allvin have taken over. Do you sign him? Do you trade him? What do you do? We've got a poll up on Shifts and Pucks. If you think that this was a good deal or of an overpay, let us know there. So far, 76% of you think it's a good deal. And Canucks Twitter, nature is healing. We've talked about this throughout the summer. It has mostly been the Calgary Flames that have been the other team that we follow closely on the Shifts and Pucks that have made the noise with the Matthew Tkachuk trade, with the Johnny Gaudreau leaving from Calgary to Columbus, the Jonathan Huberdeau extension, the Nazem Kadri signing. It's been quiet in Vancouver for most of the summer until today, as J.T.Miller signs this deal. According to Rick Dhaliwal, 4 years, no trade. And that's the last 3 years, modified, no movement. Reading some of the other stuff here that's being reported on it here. According to Ian McIntyre, 12th in the NHL scoring over the last season. His $8 million cap will be the 50th. Canucks should get good value over the next 4 to 5 years, but obviously risk overpaying Miller towards the end. That's business. More from Rick Dhaliwal is just to get some of the tweets that we are getting here. As he also tweeted out, "What a horrible time for a nap." I didn't know that Rick Dhaliwal napped. That's what shocks me. And we'll get to some other comments here. According to Bartlett, this is from Rick Dhaliwal, who, of course, talked to Bartlett, Miller's agent. This came about real quick. The Canucks stepped up in the last couple of days. JT loves the market. He could have got more on open market, 100%. He left money on the table, but he made the decision he wants to stay in Vancouver and spend his career in Vancouver and win cups. We were far apart, but the Canucks stepped up and JT wanted to stay. He loves the market, the media, and the pressure. He loves that. So, I guess there's a lot of questions here. We had the question, of course, because we go back to the draft. There appear to be, according to the insiders, of which I am not one of them, trade between Vancouver and the Islanders that somehow, because according to some, there was a leak and Lou Lamoriello stepped away from it. We don't know what that trade was, but there's speculation that was J.T.Miller on his way to the Islanders. There was questions about J.T.Miller the Rangers. There was question about J.T.Miller in Carolina, but he ends up staying in Vancouver. And I wanted to refer back to the conversations we've been having in Calgary with two players in similar age groups as J.T.Miller. The first one being Jonathan Huberdeau. The other one, of course, Nazem Kadri. Those are the two guys that are hearing. And Huberdeau will make 5.9 this year and then 10.5 going forward at the age of 29. And that goes until 31. And then Nazem Kadri, he's up there. He makes $7 million now until 28, 29. J.T.Miller had 99 points. And look, I can see what, there's some of these, I know that there's people out there, they have rules. If you and some of these rules in terms of, you don't sign up, you shouldn't sign a player that is of this age to this contract. We saw this week Tage Thompson, a younger player, get a pretty significant pay raise for one significant season. Um, so to me, this is what I look at. This is just I'm going to take this from J.T. Miller's point of view. You get Jonathan Huberdeau's contract, you get Nazem Kadri's contract. You look at Tage Thompson. Here's the facts. I got 99 points. I was a leader on this team. I play center. I play wing. I'm not budging from what I think I'm worth. I am not budging. You may think, and you can argue with me as long as the cows come home, that you think I'm overpaid, but that's what I feel that I'm worth, because I'm seeing what the contracts are out there. I'm seeing with Matthew Tkachuk out there. I'm seeing with Jonathan Huberdeau, Tage Thompson. Some of these other guys are getting out there. And you can argue about age, but I'm just going to lay the fact on the line here is I got 99 points. I play two positions. Some of these players do not. Matthew Tkachuk doesn't play center. Jonathan Huberdeau doesn't play center. Johnny Gaudreau doesn't play center. I play center. I play wing. That makes me a valuable player. And, if you're the Canucks, one of the questions that you have to ask is, are you better with or without J.T. Miller? And the answer to that to me is quite simply, you're a better team with J.T. Miller. There's no question in my mind about it. It's hard to replace a J.T. Miller. You do not have a J.T. Miller type player on this lineup. And I've talked about this before on the Shifts and Pucks podcast. I think that there have been times, even under Bruce Boudreau, and I think that this has been agreed upon even by Rutherford and Alvin to a certain extent, and by management in the Canucks. I think this team has been too easy to play against. It's been too easy to enter the zone. It's been too easy to get opportunities. It's been too easy to create offense. A guy like J.T. Miller makes it difficult to play against. There's not enough J.T. Miller type of players in Vancouver. So if you're trading him for significant assets, you need a J.T. Miller type of player to come back. And very clearly, if that trade was out there, that wasn't going to happen. So then you were in a position, and the two teams that we talked about already, the Rangers reportedly offered Niels Lundqvist, Philip Cheadle, and a first-round pick. If I'm the Canucks, I politely hang up the phone. I politely mute any tweet DMs from the Rangers if that's the offer, because it's not even close to enough for what I think J.T. Miller offers. Now, at the same time, the Canucks have every right to ask for a Noah Dobson. And if you absolutely 100% would love to have a Noah Dobson on your team. But if I'm the Islanders, I'm not sure I'm sticking around for a conversation if Noah Dobson's part of it. I don't know where they were at there. But so we're in the middle of those two kind of dilemmas. The bottom line is I don't think they got the right trade combination for J.T. Miller. And you cannot make a trade to J.T. Miller just to make sure that you get assets. It's not about just getting assets. Do you go to the store just to pick up an apple? Or do you look at the apple and say, this is a good apple, I should put this in my bag. Oh, and this is a bad apple, I will leave it over there for someone else. You need to get the right significant assets. You can't just make a trade for the sake of making a trade and saving and looking to the future. So for me, this is a guy that I'm maybe higher than some Canuck followers and Canuck fans on what J.T. Miller is, but I just look at this guy, and I don't think you have enough J.T. Miller on your team. I still think there's not enough. Still too easy in my mind to play against the Vancouver Canucks. And so, and if the trade wasn't there to get that type of player back, that would have been similar to a J.T. Miller type of player, I don't think you do it. So you've got some versatility. There's other ways to move around cap space. And there's, you still got the question of what Connor Garland could bring. I don't know. Maybe he's not back. You still got a number of other things and a number of other options out there. You've got a dearth of forward depth that you can move to get some defensive help. which of course is a significant need on the Vancouver Canucks, is improving that defense. So to me, that's where I'm at this particular point. I look at this, and I think back to the conversation that Dan and Devin and I had about and Naz and Kadri. The cap, it is an overpay in some ways with Kadri. We look at that as an overpay, but it's almost necessary at this particular point to do this. As Ian McIntyre mentions, this is about business, and sometimes you got to bite the bullet. And I'm percolating a theory in my head that I'm not sure I want to publicly go on with, but I have a bit of a theory that I'm working on about some of these long-term deals and what could be happening there. But overall, I think that this is a good day for the Vancouver Canucks. They got a guy that, a heart and soul guy. Is he going to get 99 points next year? I don't know. I mean, there's already conversations about what he signed Pettersson, what the Canucks, he's making more than Pettersson and Hughes. I think that's the price of doing business. I don't think that you can go in and necessarily say that, sorry, you're not going to get more than Pettersson. You cannot make that argument with J.T.Miller. I'm sorry. If I'm J.T.Miller, I look around what the market, what other players of a similar ilk have been given, and you're going to tell me that you're going to lowball me? No way. That's what a J.T.Miller has to say. And I don't think that the people that are looking at this as a bad deal are not looking at this from J.T.Miller's point of view. He's a valuable piece to the Canucks. And this is a guy that for the next 4 years, I think you're going to want in this lineup. And you don't have any prospect even close to what J.T.Miller specifically brings to your lineup. You're a soft team. You are too easy to play against. You were relying far too much on a Thatcher Demko to make saves. And look, the speed and the skill of the teams like Tampa, Colorado, you look at the skating of the Oilers. Sorry, no J.T.Miller. I don't see where the Canucks are at this particular point. And the other thing that I think has to be looked at here is the Pacific Division is, I think, wide open. And I think a lot of people are kind of sleepy a little bit on who the Vancouver Canucks are. I think you got to go in. To me, the Oilers are the favorite. They won the series against the Flames. I think they're the favorites. I mean, Calgary's obviously still there. You got Huberdeau. You still got you got Kadri. You got to figure out what you're doing with Mackenzie Weegar. The Kings are going to be there with Kevin Fiala in there. I think I still think there's a question of scoring. You're going to have a healthy Jack Eichel in Vegas, but I still think there's a lot of questions, Vegas specifically in goal. There's a chance for Vancouver. There's still a lot of questions on all five of those teams. The Oilers with Jack Campbell, is it an upgrade? I don't know. What if he's not healthy? Are the Kings don't have that dynamic playmaking center that scares you? They're strong on defense. And Calgary, they're different, but are they better? And you got Vegas with goaltending questions. So Vancouver has a chance, and they fought their way back to try to get into this wild card spot. So there's some interesting opportunities there. But that's kind of where I'm at. Let's see if there's any comments. Richard disagrees with me. This is a terrible move. Too much money locked up in bad contracts. Adding middle six forwards are still coming back to say defenses won't end well. Well, they do have to. I do agree with you, Richard. They need to improve on the defense. Absolutely 100%. But they have to kind of find a way to fix that. We'll see what goes on that part as well. So there we are. That's my thoughts. What do you think about the J.T.Miller signing? Put your comments in there. Let us know. Follow us on Twitter. We will be conversing about this next week. We'll be back, all five of us, talking about going to happen. Finally, something going on in Canucks Twitter. Nature is healing. Canucks Twitter is arguing again. Just feels like hockey season is coming back. Follow us on Twitter individually. Christian Schneidz, SCHNEIDZ. Sean, Beardy Canuck 03. Tyler, TNOBLE. Devin, Gordhow09. I am KEVOLE. Shifts and Pucks. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. Subscribe wherever you get your audio, as well as on the Area 51 Sports Network. We thank you for watching and listening, and we will talk to you all very soon. Bye for now.